What's up, everybody? This video is for you if you are stuck on a riff, you don't know what to do next, you feel like you suck, you feel like you should give up music. Don't worry, I'm here to help. I'm going to show you some tricks that will help you break through that writer's block, get those creative juices flowing, and you'll be off to the races. Before we begin, I would suggest taking a brief look at the cage system if you don't know it already, understanding intervals, knowing all the notes up and down your neck, knowing their names. If you can read music, you're going to be a step ahead of everybody else. Also, link in the description. That's going to give you a chart that has my kind of ideas and approach to the cage system. Check it out. But let's get started.
Okay, so the whole premise of this video is to figure out how to play our riff on all 5 of the caged positions on guitar. So briefly, here is a demonstration for the vocabulary I'll be using for the rest of this video. Okay, so the first letter of the word caged is C, so we're going to play a C chord. Everybody knows and loves C. Next letter is going to be A, so we're playing A chord. But we can actually make this a C chord if we know how. So take a Nature's capo to adjust for open strings, move it up 3 frets, and now we have a lovely, beautiful C chord. Nice, okay? So C, A, G comes next. Here's the G chord that everybody knows. Now we're going to adjust for open strings again and find C. Boom, C chord, shaped like G. So any riff played around this area, I will be saying is in G position. Then we'll do the same things with E. And to finish off the caged word, we'll do it on D. This is a C chord in D position, or a D position C chord. You can do the same thing with any type of chord. You can do it with minor chords. You can do it with diminished chords. Any kind of chord will follow this caged pattern as long as you know the shapes for all of the said chords. So here we go. Let's take my riff that I'm going to use for this video. It's in E minor. So learning all the caged chords and minor keys or minor chords is going to be beneficial for you. This riff is in C position. Figured that was a good place to start so we can work through this cage system. Write down the names of the notes in the order that they appear that your riff uses, or you can use intervals if you're not super good with your note names. And my first variation will be going to A. So I figure out how to play the riff in A position. Remember, this riff is still in the key of E minor. I'm just using the shape that A minor appears in open position, to play an E, and then I'm revolving my riff around that area. So I'm actually in like 7th position on guitar. And then I use the fact that I have probably a bunch of subconscious tendencies when I'm in different positions, and I'm going to use those to kind of guide my decision making with my riffs. So when I'm in A position, I kind of, for whatever reason, think of kind of Hendrixian double stops. So like kind of harmonies and things like that. So I wrote a riff based around my original riff that uses harmonies. And you'll see every once in a while I go actually outside of the quote A position, and that's totally fine. Nobody cares. This is not a strict formula. All it's meant to do is trigger inspiration for you. And when you're playing these riffs in different positions, you'll find that your inner ear suggests new things to come after them, and you can start to write some new material. That's the whole point of this video. So do not feel boxed in into only doing the same riff in different positions. Next riff will be a E minor in G position. And this brings me up to the 12th fret, and my tendency on 12th fret areas is to play harmonics. So I played basically the same exact riff, but I figured out how to do it with harmonics. If you don't know what notes are sounding when you're playing harmonics all around your neck, you can actually just play them for a tuner, and the tuner will likely tell you what that pitch is if it's a decent enough tuner. And I find this to be a very nice change in timbre. Keep in mind that I did not write all these riffs on the fly. It only sounds that way because of editing. If you were to watch a whole video of me grappling with these riffs, it would probably be like 24 hours long. So spend some time every time you get into a new position and write something that you like. Now we get to the golden position, an E minor chord in the position of E minor. So lovely. This should be nice and simple. I played the riff. I actually ended up taking it down an octave just for fun. Why not? And when I took it down an octave, I was reminded of a riff from a Zeppelin tune called 10 Years Gone. Goes something like that. And then I decided to speed up the rhythm. It's primarily 16th note based. And then I heard in my mind's ear a little riff that came next, just a little kind of descending chord strum situation. If you have ideas that don't necessarily fit into your original idea or weren't direct descendants of that, totally cool. We don't want to have a song that's just the same riff over and over anyway. But do take note that this is a variation that has new material in it, and we will come back to that later. Now for my D minor riff, I play an E minor in the shape of D. And the first thing I noticed was that I was playing a B on the G string, and that automatically reminded me that I have a B on the second string that's the same exact pitch. So I thought of playing this riff with a bunch of open strings, anywhere I could. Any string that I could play open, I did. And to kind of give it more of a different texture change, I let the notes bleed over each other. When we're doing this riff variation thing, your pitches are going to get boring if you just play them the same way over and over. So you need to rely on non-pitch musical characteristics like rhythm, articulation, harmony, texture, timbre, and register to kind of make these variations. So most of my variations use one of those musical concepts instead of just pitch, because obviously my pitches are kind of already decided for me. Okay, so at the end of that sequence, you should have 5 usable riffs. And now is where the real fun begins. For the rest of the video, I will be using 7th chord language, just 5 basic types of 7th chords. I'm not going to be using any altered tones or anything like that. So you have a major 7, a dominant 7, a minor 7, half diminished 7, and a fully diminished 7. And this gives us, in the chromatic world, 60 different harmonic areas that we can visit, minus 1, technically, because we already did E minor. If you're not much of a chromatic person, I get that. We have 7 different harmonic areas we can visit and still stay inside of the key of E minor. But stick around towards the end of the video. I will show you a couple of chromatic chords that are closely related to E minor that you could probably put into your composition if you don't have much of an ear for chromatic stuff. But the first place I'm going to visit is G major, the relative major key of E minor. And I start the riff off in C position. And here I kind of got an idea about doing harmony again. So it's kind of very similar to my A position E minor chord, something worth noting. And that little rhythmic tag at the end is also another thing worth noting, because it is not based off of the original riff, except for in pitch. Now I'm going to play my G major riff in the A position. And for this variation, again, I'm kind of hovering around the 10th, 12th fret, so I bet you can guess what comes next. There will be some harmonic play happening with my variation. Now I'm in the golden position, playing a G major riff in G position. Nice and simple. I did end up bringing this one down an octave, and again, I was reminded of some open strings that I could let bleed. And let's see how letting notes bleed over each other to its maximum sounds. I dig it. Kind of had like a Justin Chancellor bass type of feel to it. If Tool played in happy keys, that is. Next riff will be an E position G major riff. And so I play the riff, let some ideas swirl around my head. And I went with the decision to make the rhythm a little bit faster here. I don't know what it was. For some reason, I was thinking kind of King Crimson's level 5. There's a part in there where they kind of just like do, I think it might be a tappy thing, but they alternate between that and something cool. Anyway, I think that was going through my head, and I came out with this riff. I do really enjoy the grace note slides. That's a thing I think I picked up from listening to Polyphia or just like math rock types of things. It's quite a nice sound that no matter how hard they try, piano players can't do. So let's be better than piano players. Now for my D position G major riff. Similar 16th note. I guess I feel like playing a lot of 16th notes in this hour of my practice time. And got some grace notes in there. Grace note double stops this time. That's neat. Got a little slide. Got some open strings. So a lot of different musical elements coming into play here. It's a nice, attractive sound. And that wraps up my G major riffing through the caged sequence. And now I have 10 riffs that I can use for a song, but there's still much more that we can do. Let's take a look at some of those chromatic areas that we can visit that shouldn't sound too bad. The most obvious one is going to be a B dominant situation because this is our 5 chord, the key of E minor. Major 5 leads us back to 1. If you got good theory chops, you will know that we need to make all the D's sharp here if you want the true B dominant sound, and make sure that you are adding the 7th in there somewhere, the A. So here's just a transposed version of the B dominant riff in A position. And the B dominant harmonic area kind of gives me a funky vibe. And so I decided I would put some kind of chord comping type of sounds in there, along with a little bit more chromatic of a bass line that goes a little bit further outside of the key. And this probably would not fit in the song that I've so far been writing because the character is just so drastically different. But that's okay. I have another riff in my bank. I could possibly turn this into another song and sell it to Taylor Swift. Profit. Make millions. No, that's probably a bad example. Taylor Swift wouldn't want this riff. You could probably sell it to a funk band that can't write their own music, but I don't know. Good luck finding one of those. And jumping around a little bit here, because brevity is the soul of wit, I will just go to the E position, B dominant riff, because I like that one. And this one kind of takes a chord comping thing. It still keeps that funky vibe from the riff before. And I have this cool little descending chord situation happening that I like a lot. Next is the D position B dominant riff. This one took me a while to get. I wasn't liking anything I came up with until I discovered these 3 octave little melodic slides that you see. I think I got that from Guthrie Govan somewhere on the Tres Caballeros album. Okay, so B is a pretty closely related harmonic area we can go to. I'm actually also a big fan of the Neapolitan 6 chord, which is basically taking your 2 and making it flat. So in the key of E, we have an F sharp. We're going to play F major now, and then this will give us an F major chord instead of an F sharp diminished chord. And I'm going to play around with some ideas here. The purpose of that F major chord is usually to bring us to the 5 chord. You don't have to do that though. The 5 chord being B. So after you play some F riffs, playing the B next will be good. And we're actually going to do some more secondary dominant type of stuff. Let's play around with some C dominant things. C being the dominant to the F chord that we just kind of worked through. So I need to make all of my B's flat to achieve the C dominant sound. Here's everything I came up with for C dominant. Okay, so in closing, take your riff, figure out what caged position you're playing it in, and then play it in all the different possible caged positions, maybe adjusting for the octave. Anything is fine. And then transpose your riff to different harmonic areas. If you're a strict diatonic person, this should give you 7 other options other than the one you started with. If you're into chromaticism, you can add 53 more harmonic areas if you're just considering major 7, minor 7, dominant 7, half diminished, and fully diminished 7. If you're a complete mad man or woman, you can take a look at all the altered tones that would come with each one of those and report back to us. Tell me how many possibilities there are. Good luck with that. Comment below if you do such a thing, because you deserve a huge shout out. So once you figure out all your transpositions, take those transpositions, play those transpositions in all 5 of the different caged areas, and write riffs in each one. Let your subconscious tendencies, that could be your rhythmic ideas that happen in different positions, your harmonic ideas, textural or timbral ideas that might be lurking beneath your subconscious, just waiting to come out. Let those take your music and your riff somewhere else, perhaps, even if it's like outside of the realms of what you might use in a singular song. It's always good exercise to just be able to write a ton of riffs. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Yes, the ubiquitous YouTube ending. Please do those things. It's very helpful for me. I will be coming out with a part 2 to this series. There are a few different tweaks we can start to work with that will yield even more riff ideas. So please stay tuned and happy jams.